Crown and the Bridge, Lecture 13. All ceramic restoration. The most aesthetically pleasant prosthodontic restoration because there is no metal to block light transmission. They can resemble natural tooth structure better in terms of color and translucency than any other type of restorative option. But their chief disadvantage is their susceptibility to fracture because of the brittleness of the material. Since it is made entirely of ceramic, although this is lessened by use of resin bonded technique. So, we need a special preparation design for this material by making a shoulder finishing line with 1 millimeter depth all around the preparation with 1.5 on the incisal edge. For its preparation, the preparation should be left as long as possible because an over-shortened preparation will create stress concentration in the labiogingival area of the crown, which will produce a characteristic of half-moon fracture in the labiogingival area of the restoration. This is why we should make our preparation as long as possible. Second, we should have shoulder finishing line all around with 1 millimeter. And this 90-degree shoulder in the cavus surface angle is needed to prevent unfavorable distribution of stresses. The incisal edge should be flat and placed as a slight inclination toward the lingual gingiva. This is why, to meet the force on the incisal edge and prevent shearing. As we see here, this is a flat incisal edge and its direction toward the lingual gingiva. All sharp angles of the preparation should be rounded, as we see in this picture, because we don't want to make a stress concentration area that will make in the future a reason for fracture. So, what are the advantages of all ceramic crown? First, superior aesthetic. Second, good tissue response. Third, it is more conservative labially as compared with porcelain fused to metal crown with facing only, because the reduction on the labial surface will be more for the porcelain fused to metal, but for the palatal and the proximal will be less amount of reduction. Fourth, the appearance of complete restoration can be influenced or changed and modified by selecting different color of fluting agent. But what are the disadvantages? First, reduced strength as compared with porcelain fused to metal. As we know that the porcelain fused to metal, because of the presence of metal, will be high strength, higher than the all ceramic crown. Second, significant tooth reduction. This is why, because of the using of shoulder finishing line, as compared with other type that will use the chamfer finishing line. Fracture will happen if porcelain have less reduction. This is why we should make an enough reduction for the porcelain in all ceramic crown. Number 4. It is not effective as a retainer for fixed partial denture because, as we know, the parts or the component of the bridge is retainer, pontic, abutment and connector. The connector needs a good strength to distribute the forces to the all other parts of the bridge. Here, because our material is brittle, so by researches they show that or see that they need a thickness of ceramic about 4 by 4 millimeter, and this will give a higher area that will impinge on the tissue or on the gingiva. In the future we will have periodontal problems. So what are the indications for all ceramic crown? First, if high aesthetic is required. Second, considerable facial and proximal caries. Third, relatively intact incisal edge. So the thickness of porcelain should not exceed more than 2 mm, because this material is a brittle one. If more than 2 mm, we will make it face fracture. Fourth, favorable distribution of occlusal load. Centric contacts are best confined to the middle third of the lingual surface. Leaving the crown out of contact is not recommended because the future eruption may lead to protrusive interference that will lead to fracture. So, what are the contraindications for all ceramic crown? First, when a more conservative restoration can be used, like in porcelain fused to metal, in posterior teeth that is made only with facing. That means we can conserve the palatal and the proximal surface in porcelain fused to metal only with facing as compared with all ceramic crown. Second, teeth with short clinical crown. If we don't have enough preparation length to support the lingual and incisal edge of the restoration, so there will be a problem, and this is contraindicated. Third, thin teeth facial-lingually. Fourth, bruxism. 5, teeth with edge to edge that will produce stress on the incisal area of the restoration and make it fracture. 6, it should not be used when the opposing teeth occlude on the cervical third of the lingual surface. Tension will produce and we will have half moon fracture. The other part of our lecture today is the porcelain laminate veneer. This is a thin shell of porcelain. See here, a thin shell of porcelain that is applied directly on the tooth structure. It is conservative method of restoring the appearance of discolored, pitted or fractured anterior teeth. It consists of what? Of bonding thin ceramic laminate on the labial surface of the affected tooth. So, what are their uses? First, improve color of stained teeth, as we see here, or even here and here. Alter the contour of misshaped teeth, like in this case. Even this case also, this case have a combination of improving the stained teeth and altering the misshape, as we see in the picture before and after. Also, closing the interproximal spaces, as in this case. So, what are the advantages of the porcelain laminate veneer? Is the conservative to the tooth structure. Second, wear and stain resistant. But the disadvantages here is that we will make increasing the contour of the tooth. So it is a difficulty in obtaining a restoration that are not excessively contoured. Preparation. How we prepare the porcelain laminate veneer? First, by making a series of depth holes with a round bare or a specialized bare, so that the maximum reduction will be achieved with minimum penetration into dentine, which is 0.5 mm. So our preparation should be within the enamel only. Place a long chamfer margin, and this is made by using round and tapered Fisher Bear, and we will gain an obtuse cavo surface angle that will expose more enamel prism for better etching. Here in this picture we see these depth orientation grooves that have been made by the previous bear on the labial surface. Then by the using of round and tapered Fisher Bear or this bear, we can reduce this part of enamel, which should be 0.5 milli from the labial surface. Whenever possible, place the preparation margin labial to the proximal area, as in this picture. We should preserve the contact area and preserve its enamel. We should not reduce the incisal edge. This will help and support the porcelain and make chipping less, unless we want to make lengthening to the tooth that part. In this way we should make reduction from the incisal edge and from the palatal surface, but we should be sure not to make any undercuts. Finally, be sure all the preparation surface should be rounded to prevent any stress concentration area. Thank you.